This is Tetris. Why did I build it? Well, I don't really know. It seemed like a good idea at the time, and I thought, how hard could it really be? Very. The answer is very. Okay, so let's take a step back about 8 months when I first began this project. First thing I had to do was define what Tetris actually was. If you live under a rock, Tetris involves blocks like this dropping down a wall. When they reach the bottom, they have to stay there, and when you fill an entire row with the blocks, the row then clears and other pieces fall down to replace them. Your goal is to survive as long as possible without having a piece hit the top of the board. If it does, you lose and the game restarts. So, all I need to do is convert all that to redstone. That shouldn't be too hard. Oh god. So, I started simple, by making a 10 by 20 block pixel display using redstone lamps. First design for inputting power to the lamps was a tad bit laggy. Turns out hundreds of constantly activating observers is not good for performance, who knew? So I would have to think of a different way to display it. So I made it bigger. This may seem a bit counterintuitive to make it bigger, but in reality it just means I have more room to do redstone. So I used a design from Mattbatwings. Side note, thank you very much Mattbatwings, you inspired me to do this project, and a lot of the general mechanics were inspired from his Tetris. His channel's linked in the description, please check it out. I realized I haven't addressed this yet, but all this is being done on Bedrock Edition, which compared to Java is a bit unreliable? I don't even know what's going on here. Just Future Jack here, editing this. I realize some of the explanations are a bit unspecific, so if you want a more detailed explanation, a video will be coming out soon. Enjoy the rest of the video. Anyways, the next part that needed to be made was the pieces themselves, so I used a ROM. A ROM is an acronym that stands for Read-Only Memory. What this actually means is that it stores images, and when powered in a certain way, will give those images back to you. In this case, the images are different pieces of the Tetris game. A circuit was made in order to switch between the rotations of each pieces and generate random ones, so that every time you hit this button, it generates a piece. So, next the circuits needed to know how to move. I did not think that far. Yeah, so this is where things got hard very quickly. Long story short, downwards movement ended up being controlled by a clock. Every time the clock pulsed, it would move downwards one, and in between every downwards movement, the player had the option to move left and right. The logic was then put in place to tell the pieces when to stop moving and when to stay in place. There were a lot of problems with this. Problems included, but we're not limited to. So I took a break for 4 months. You see, that was a bit of a mistake, because when I came back, I didn't really remember what half the circuit did. And I did realize most of my logic was a tad bit flawed, as you couldn't actually lose the game. When a piece dropped onto another piece, it would continue to go through it like this. When another piece follows, it keeps falling through it until a row is filled, and the process repeats again and again, meaning you literally just can't lose the game. So this had to be fixed somehow. Right? Okay, so after that minor oversight, 2 months later I had completely redesigned the main system. I realized I'm not too good at bug fixing, because I don't really remember what issue I was having, meaning I keep piling on to each other, which is oddly another issue, which means there's more issues, which is an issue, which you get the point. But a lot of bug fixing later, more flawed logic, and I was done. So without further ado, I give you Tetris.